To South Korea now. The country's suspended President Yoon Yeol has refused to take part in a second day of questioning in a criminal probe into his short-lived attempt to impose martial law. He was arrested on Wednesday on charges of insurrection and abuse of power. Lawyers for the president said that he would not take part in any further questioning due to ill health. Meanwhile, the Constitutional Court is holding a hearing to decide whether to permanently remove him from office or reinstate his powers. Yoon Yeol insists the criminal investigation is illegal. Let's get more on this. I'm joined by Dr. John Nielsen-Wright, head of Japan and the Careers Programme at Cambridge University. Thanks for being with us. What are the options here if the president continues to refuse to cooperate?
Well, the first thing to mention is that the Corruption Investigation Office, which is the body that was responsible for bringing him in for questioning, has 48 hours in which to question the president. 10 hours yesterday spent talking to him, raising these allegations about how martial law was introduced and what the circumstances were behind that. The president at that stage refused to answer any questions, pleading effectively the fifth. The CIO will have to get further authorization by tomorrow morning from the Seoul Central District Court that they can continue to hold the president and question him. I suspect that will be forthcoming, especially in light of all the difficulties that the body had in bringing him in for questioning. But of course, all of this is just one part of the larger process, and particularly the legal process that the Constitutional Court, which you mentioned, which in a sense is the most important part of this process at this stage, is trying to deliberate and decide whether or not to uphold the impeachment vote in the National Assembly. They held their second hearing today. President Yoon was not present. He was expected to be present, but of course, since he's under detention, was not able to attend. His lawyers tried to argue with the justices on the court that this was therefore a basis for delaying further aspects of that process. And interestingly, the court very swiftly and quite unanimously rejected that argument. And I think that's an indication that they are minded to proceed quite quickly with the process of deliberating on the impeachment process itself.
And just relatively briefly, if I can, what does it mean overall for South Korea, this whole affair? It's been very, very difficult, hasn't it, in recent weeks?
Well, what we're seeing is a huge polarization between the forces of the left and the right. I think the majority of ordinary Koreans believe that the president was guilty of breaching the constitution by supporting martial law, by introducing it. I think what we will see ultimately is the court upholding that impeachment vote and the president fairly swiftly removed from office. Then there will be those larger criminal proceedings. And that continues to divide left and right. And the governing Conservative Party is trying to put the Democratic Party, the opposition party, on the defensive, arguing that they're overreaching.
Okay.
And therefore, these issues will continue to be, I think, a major controversy between the two sides of the political spectrum.